This Daf Yerushalmi Yoma and the article is edition. We're on Daf Mem Zayin Av, the Mishnah Halacha Zayin. And the Vilna that is on Daf Lamed Vav Amud Aleph, also Halacha Zayin. Okay, so what says Mishnah says, Amar Kohen Gadol, said the Kohen Gadol, sorry, he has soil midbar. The soil reached the midbar. The Korban says he has some midbar. She'en Rosh Hashanah ba'avoda. Acheres now to begin another avoda. Until he has soil midbar, till the soil reaches the midbar. Shneimar it says, "V'shilach es hasoil ba'midbar." Send the soil to the midbar. Ba'achar kach b'es hachel chatos es b'ktim esvecha. Then afterwards to do the subsequent avodas. Uminayno yodim shegila soil midbar. How do they know that the soil reached the midbar? So did kol soil osim. And the Bavli the Gersa is dir kaost with a resh. It's dit kaost with a double dalet. Umanifim b'sudarim, whatever they are, the Gemara is going to explain. But they would wave flags. The yodim shegilim, but the soil went to the midbar. There was a big simon they could have used instead of that, which is that Yerushalmi at Beis Charon. From Yerushalayim, the Beis Charon, which Beis Charon now was the opposite direction for the midbar. It's towards Latrun. But evidently there was a Beis Charon in the midbar. So Yerushalayim by Beis Charon. Shloshim Yerushalayim Beis Charon. I think today the Beis Charon we have is a lot further from Yerushalayim, so it's not the same one. Hochimil. So would go meal. Well, I should read the Korban this too. Ad Beis Charon Rosh HaMidbar. That's the beginning of the midbar. B'sav Rabbi the Beis Charon by midbar. So that's called getting to the midbar. Kim Shkia Sar by midbar. Once it got to the midbar, and asked the mitzvah, so Abi Shlo Gilatzuk. You know, didn't reach the cliff yet, which is much further away, 10, 12 mile away. So Ad Beis Charon they were sorry. So in order to, you'll know, Hochimil, people in Yerushalayim would walk a meal, right? They would go with the person being allowed to soy a meal, a meal, and they would come back a meal, and they'd show a meal, same meal, and wait another meal, as ever long the average takes. If you don't the sun they knew the soil reached the middle, they didn't need the flags. They had another simon. Lashon shows always there was the red thread with the red string, which was tied onto the opening of the echok. She soil midbar. When the soil reached the midbar, even before they pushed it down the cliff, this would the string would go white. Your sins would be red; they'll become white like snow. Okay, says Gemara, Ma'u b'dichos kablon. It says matzevos gedolos, big stones, big platforms, gvos, very high. Shesham shomim omdim. The watchers would stand, manifim would storm, they would wave flags as a relay, and they would know instantly, of course, that the sword reached the midbar. Okay, the first telegraphs, what were called telegraphs before Samuel F.B. Morse's telegraphs, were actually kind of like semaphore signals, which are able to get quickly throughout long distances, which were a similar concept. I think Napoleon came up with them in France. Okay, little tone Derech Eretz there. Next, Adjalav Merek Shnei Sirei Halacha Aleph. Bolo Kohen Gadol the close. So Kohen Gadol comes now to read to the parsha of the day. Imrot would be the boots korei if he wants. He reads it in the white linen clothes, which he did the abod of the yom. Imlav, and if not, be stalitz. Probably it's supposed to be spelled eat stalitz with a tzaddik here. So the samech levan mishlo, a white cloak of his own. Why the Kriyas Parsha is an important point of the abod of the Gemara is going to discuss. Chazan HaKnesses is also a sefer Torah, the Chazan HaKnesses, which is like the Shamish. So it took the took the Torah also Rosh Knesset gave to the head of the Knesset, and the Knesset is evidently like the president. He decides what goes on. Well, I guess the president, the Gabbai, perhaps you would say, as the Korban says, Mimaftir, Miporis Ashma, Udazaftor, Udaves, Miyav Teva. Notice the Sefer Torah Mizel Zeb Shibrak Kohen Gadol, give the Sefer Torah one to each other. It's for the honor of the Kohen Gadol Laharos to show Sheyesh Scholos Harbi Lamadimero, that many offices below his. So Rosh Knesset knows Skan. Rosh Knesset gives to the assistant Kohen Gadol. Vaskan knows the Kohen Gadol. And the assistant Kohen Gadol gives to the Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol Omer Kabel, Kohen Gadol stands and to receive it and receives the Torah. The Koreh, and he's and he reads Va'omei v'Koreh, and he reads it stands. He reads Achrimos v'Ach Basar, which is in Parshas Emor. V'Go Sefer Torah, and he winds the Sefer Torah and Umenicho b'Cheiko, and puts it by its chest. We're going to say Yosem Masha Korisi Lifnechem Kozakan. This is the whole Sefer Torah. More than I read for you is here, but I'm not going to be reading the third one from inside the Sefer Torah. I'm going to read it outside, and Sosham Chush Pikudim, and the third parsha, which is the maftir. The Pikudim is Bamidbar, right? It's called Chumash Pikudim because it has a sense of Am Yisrael. Korapeh. He writes that. He reads that Balpeh, not from the Sefer. He makes 8 brachas after the Kriya. Ala Torah, Vala Avoda, Doya, on thankfulness, on Mechilas Avon, on the Mechila of the forgiveness of sin, V'Hamikdash, V'Yisrael. In the Bible here it says Al Yerushalmi. I don't think that Reb Chaim puts that in, but it's here on the side of the Gemara. It notes that. V'Kohanim, V'Shar Tefillah, and on the rest of the Tefillah. Okay, so I think the Gemara is going to explain all of these things. Harel Kohen Gadol should correct somebody sees Kohen Gadol who's landing anywhere part of the Nisrafim. Can't see part of the Nisrafim because it happens and there's not enough time to get from one to the other. And that's Gemara says Mishnah says Lumination Rashai. Not because it's not allowed to. It's a hard, it's a long way from reaching one to the other. One's in Nazar, one's outside Yerushalayim. And they would happen at the same time. Okay, going on to the Gemara. I'd like to actually do a carbon 8 on the last part of Mishnah first. The Pnei Moshe says something similar. The Shane Rashai, the Son of the Minish, the Roa Avoda Achas, somebody sees one Avoda Ein Rashai, is not allowed. Manicha to leave forsaken, they lech Rosa Avoda Acheres. To go see another avodah. They might be on mitzvahs. Not allowed to pass by mitzvahs. Right? In this case, pass by literally mitzvah. V'yas avodah mitzvah and see the avodah is a mitzvah. The Rolam Hajas Melech. The more people there, the more glory there is. Mashal lo ma'av mitzvah came with shein osubah. That's not considered ma'avir mitzvahs because you're not directly involved with it. You're only watching it being done. Okay, says Gemara Mi'an Kriyas Parsha. How do we know that you read the parsha on Yom Kippur? Where does landing come from? But Yerushalmi Yoma says Vayas. So look for a trusty Torah, or I'll show him here. Vayas Pasavika Tezayim Amdal Vayas Osachem Chukasam Chaper Bnei Somcho Chadosam Achas Bashana Vayas Kasher Tzibur Hashem Es Moshe. So it says that Aaron did what Kodesh Baruch Hu commanded to Moshe. So could have just said. Matam Lomar Kasher Tzibur Hashem Es Moshe. What do you mean? Just say Vayas Aaron. He did Vayas Aaron Cain. I asked Cain. But I say Kasher Tzibur Hashem Es Moshe. So from this they deduce Mikal Kriyas HaParsha. From here we know that the Kriyas HaParsha. So it's a question what exactly the derivation is from this. Torah Shabbat brings down the Torah Yisraelim and Ritva who are mentioned here in Shas that even the tzavos you have to do. Bayas means even the commandments have to be the commands have to be done. Avudrom says that it's in order to notify that it was done as was commanded. Okay, there are other interpretations, but I think that Avudrom makes a lot of sense that Kasher Tzibur Hashem Es Moshe, we have to let people know what the tzibur was, and that they'll see. Vayas, they did it properly. Rabbi Ami Shem said, Shiara Avodas Ovdim B'Bidei Lavan. So the coordinator and Shartei so changed the girsa here and in the Sugir, but Moshe leaves everything as is. Let's see what Reb Chaim does. Yeah, later on, the Sugir says Zav, and he changes it to the Korbei changes to Lavan, but Reb Chaim does not change it, so we'll leave it with Zav as we shall see subsequently. But again, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shem said Shor Avos, so everybody says Shor Avos means the rest of Avodas means the Shiraim of the Avodas, means the Avodas which were not Ma'akev, they're not essential to the primary Avodah, such as the Mikra Parsha, which talked about in our Mishnah, and the Tefillah, which is going to go daven outside the Kodesh Kodashim, and he does it in Bidei Lavan, and the Bidei Zav were only for of the Kohen Gadol were only for actual avodas in the Beis Hamikdash. So these he did Bidei Lavan. It's interesting because the Bidei Lavan had more leeway than the Bidei Zav, even though they were, so to speak, holier. But they were done. It's an interesting lumdus. But the idea was that yes, but they're not the garments of the Kohen Gadol for his specifically for use for the Beis Hamikdash and his consecrated avodas. So Rabbi Master said Mastisa Amakein Miwa Islis Lavan Mishalom. It says, if not, he doesn't use the Bidei Lavan, he uses Istis Lavan, but he doesn't use the Bidei Zav for these purposes. Rabbi Yossi Lama, Shem Bachutz, so why? Because they're outside? Hare Shchita, Hare El Bachutz, so Shchita of the carbon is also outside, right? It's not Kodesh Kodesh, not Kodesh Kodashim, and for the Bidei Zav, he does it with the Bidei Zav. See this where the carbon changes the Lavan. So the Korbei changes the gears to Lavan, says this is going as a shchita of the karbanos, the part of the Sire, right? The Pnei Moshe who says it's going on, says you leave the gears as Bidei Zav, says it's going on the carbon tamid, which he would do in the Bidei Zav. Reb Chaim takes it even further. He says he leaves the gears of Pnei Moshe, it's going about Bidei Zav, but he says the paraduma shchita is done outside the Beis Hamikdash, and it's done Bidei Zav. And then he says, even though it says in Mesechus Parah it was done by the Bidei Lavan Kohen Hediot, I'm not sure why he changed from the name Moshe's Pshat. Anyway, let's stick to the Pnei Moshe. So the Gemara says again, Rabbi Yossi Lama Shem Bachutz. That's I have to. Can't wear the Bidei Zav or Shchita Rein El Bachutz. We all the Bidei Zav. Shchita was done Bachutz, and it's also Bidei Zav. So why not this Bidei Zav? Rabbi Yossi Shem Yochel said you can do either one. What's of the Bidei Zav? What's of the Bidei Lavan? And here we can put the Pnei Moshe Korbei together because he says because Matzina Shchita, see Shchita. What's of the Bidei Zav? What's of the Bidei Lavan? Now, if you want to do Shchita. With Bidei Zav, evidently you can. So that's the Korbei that says even the Shechita, the part of the soil can be done in Bidei Zav, despite the fact that he would do it with Bidei Lavan, that he didn't have to. But you could also learn the pshat is like this, that we find some of the Shechitas of the day you do with Bidei Lavan, part of the soil. Some of the Shechitas of the day you do with Bidei Zav, the Tmedim. So therefore, just like some Shechitas done this way, some are done that way, so too, the Kriyas HaParsha, you could do either one. You could have done Zav or Lavan. It doesn't have to be necessarily Lavan. It could be Zav or Lavan. Okay, so now, here it says, the Gemara goes on to the next part of the Mishnah, B'chol Asar at Omar Hochin Achar Torah. Every place would say that we follow the Torah. But here, we go to the Torah. And here it says, V'chol Atamar Molichin Es HaTorah Etzlon. You see, you bring the Torah to them, to the Kohen Gadol, right? Sorry. So since you're right, here it's different that the Kohen Gadol and even the Skan says the coordinator are choshev people. The Torah is uplifted by being brought to them. So it's like the time of, because they're being brought to a time of chacham, to a great person. So therefore, this is a cover for the Torah to be brought to them. So the Yerushalmi brings down here from the Maram Mirutenberg that he learned from here that you don't bring a Sefer Torah to people who are imprisoned, of course, of which he was one, because you don't bring a Sefer Torah to people come to the Sefer Torah unless they're chashuvim. And obviously there says he has a lot of discussion. He says look at the Shuvas Maram Padva about who's considered to be Adam Chashuv that you would bring to him, even though he's in prison. And he says that also here perhaps it's different, because here there's an option to go to Sefer Torah as opposed to somebody who's can't go to Sefer Torah. Maybe there are more leniencies. He says look at the Pri Chodesh, and then he says Advorim Matikim. Okay, so the Gemara asks, but Taman, wait a second. Chutzarts, my Vila and Baraisa, Kabi Reish Galusa. They bring the Torah to Reish Galusa. He's not chashuv. He's just a political leader, right? So why do we do it there? Since the descendants of David are embedded there in the lineage of Reish Galusa, so therefore the Avnei Kaminag Av same. We do like we would have done to their forefathers. It's a covenant from Malchus based David. Okay. Says the Gemara, we have a problem here. It says it says Tam and Tzniya in Masechus Megillah. It says Medagi Mid Navi. You can skip around in Navi. Ve'em Medagi Mid Navi, but not from one Navi to another Navi. Uvnavi Shel Shnei Masar Mutter. If it's in Shnei Masar, then you go from Navi to Navi. Of course, it says there that. Not backwards, although we do that by Shabbos Shuvah. There's a whole question about that. But Ein Medagim B'Torah. It says Ein Medagim B'Torah. So so here we see you do skip in our Mishnah. Okay, I was going to discuss that, but not yet. So it says in Ein Medagim B'Torah. But the said, why Shane only Sefer Torah b'Rabbi? You don't roll Sefer Torah in public. It's not covered tzibur to have to roll in public. Yossi Bar Rabbi Yossi asks, "Gatzim, which is a parsha katana, right? Suppose it's a parsha katana, like we do by a tinus, right? We skip a bit, so there's no tircha, no covered covered tzibur. So it says more El Kneshish Musol Torah Seder. It's order that Bnei Yisrael Torah Seder without any skipping, because then they'll misconstrue what's written in the Torah. So says Gemara, but Nina Korei. Now we get to our Mishnah Korachem Mos V'Ach B'Asor, which is a skip in the Sefer Vayikra from Achrei Mos to Emor. Shani Shi Slijo Shel Yoim. This is the Seder the Inyana de Yoma. So the Torah and Yerushalmi says it's smag, yeah, but if it would be a large skip, like Sefer Midbar, like our Mishnah, we say that you don't do it. A small skip, Chesed Seder Shel Yom, so people understand. Okay, we're just doing the Seder Shel Yom, and that's what the Gemara goes on. It says Teda l'Choshem, D'am Shem Lachash Chol Makom Eino Korei Al Peh. Normally don't read about Peh. V'Al Korei Al Peh. Here you do read. So here it's a small skip, and the it's the roof of those two svaras, so therefore you can do it. Okay, we are way on Daf Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph. Well, that's in the Vilna on Mem Ches Amud Aleph in the article. So we'll stop here for today.